Faker is suing individuals who have left him and others hateful comments online. It takes a lot to rattle the League of Legends GOAT, and clearly what's been said has pushed him to his absolute limit. This isn't the first time we've seen this kind of abuse directed towards players in Korea, so let's unpack the whole situation. Faker. He's known for being the greatest player to ever touch League of Legends. Some people thought he was reaching the twilight of his career, and then earlier this year, with the help of his T1 teammates, he showed why you'd be mad to ever count him out.
An absolutely historical moment. 18-0 for the first time in the LCK, and they tie 2015 Summer SKT and Damwon 2020 Summer. Two teams that then went on to win Worlds at plus 29 points in the season. Unprecedented.
He's also known for just being a generally nice guy. Quiet at times, but someone who knows how to have fun. He's not just loved because of his skills, but also because of who he is.
He's OP.
Yeah, I think he's OP.
You.
I'm OP?
Yes.
Secret OP? Okay. Yeah, maybe this year, 2020.
Yeah.
So you might think, nobody could be mean to this guy. He's an ambassador for the game and a shining example of when talent meets humility. But unfortunately, you'd be wrong. On July 19th, Faker's legal team, Apex Law, spoke to press in South Korea to announce they had filed a lawsuit against those who have written malicious comments against Faker online. Inven Global's Daniel Kwon published an article which included the statement as translated by Inven. It read, despite T1's repeated requests towards those that leave malicious comments, we found that not only were there more of these comments, but they also have gotten more malicious. The player, the player's family, and all those around him continue to suffer on a mental level, so we had no choice but to file a criminal lawsuit against those that left such spiteful online comments. With respect to Faker's opinion on this matter, we are filing criminal lawsuits only towards those that repeatedly and habitually left such malicious comments, as he felt that these individuals need to be severely sanctioned. As such, there will be no plea nor favorable arrangement deals. Please be aware that our law firm will continue to monitor online comments to see if there are such spiteful comments that can be criminally implicated towards Faker and the T1 players, and will proactively take legal action to combat such harassment. We hope that a healthy and a mature esports culture can be established to avoid such legal action in the future. In the following Q&A section, they stated they would be suing a small group of people that made a large chunk of the comments. When asked for details of the comments, reporters were told they were slanders towards Faker's mother and drawings that could be considered, quote, unspeakably foul. They said that similar lawsuits involving South Korea's insult laws have seen fines between 1 and 2 million Korean won, that's roughly 764 to 1,529 US dollars. But that depending on the severity and the frequency of the insults, the accused may be subject to jail time. As mentioned by Ashley Kang on Twitter, the lawsuit is being filed under South Korea's Criminal Act Article 311, which states that publicly insulting another shall be punished by imprisonment or imprisonment without prison labor for up to a year, or by a fine of up to 2 million won, which again is roughly 1,529 US dollars. It's also noteworthy that the harassment Faker received goes beyond the usual gameplay critique from disgruntled fans. The slanders and drawings he's received seem personal, and we can only guess what unspeakably foul means. Pretty heavy stuff all round. Now, unless you keep up to date with Korean League of Legends, this might seem like it's come out of absolutely nowhere, but it hasn't. Back in the summer 2020 split, T1 failed to qualify for Worlds for only the second time in the org's history after being eliminated from the playoffs and then the regional gauntlet. Now, this was a shock to any League fan. T1 were and still are the most successful org in the history of the game, with 3 Worlds titles and 2 MSI titles to their name. Back in their home country of South Korea, the shock tipped over into anger and abuse from some so-called T1 fans. A month earlier, T1 CEO Joe Marsh had announced they could no longer remain silent about the rise in online harassment and violent threats of T1 players. He said they were exploring the options of legal action. After T1 T1 were eliminated from playoffs, they confirmed they were preparing for such action, adding that it wasn't just the players but their families too that had been threatened. It was also around this time that T1's former AD carry Teddy said in an interview that Faker is the one who gets targeted the most by this kind of harassment. A few months later, there was an incident in which some T1 fans circled around the headquarters of SKT, the parent company of T1, to protest, among other things, the potential hiring of new team management. The message board on their truck lambasted T1 for hiring famed league coach and personality LS, who they described as a coach who would cause public controversy. LS ended up temporarily deleting his Twitter, and his friend Nemesis explained on stream just how bad the abuse had gotten.
I was in a call with LS. This is in a really bad spot. Apparently his grandmother is being harassed and stuff like this, and people are trying to do really bad things to him.
Some fans even sent funeral wreaths to the T1 headquarters to mark what they saw as the death of the org they once knew. The point is, Faker filing this lawsuit is really just the latest chapter in a battle against abuse that he and T1 have been facing for years. And it's not just limited to T1, of course. A day before the Faker lawsuit announcement, KT Rolster, another legendary Korean team, shared some extremely disturbing news. Their statement, translated by Horizon Esports' Kevin Kim, said that on top of the team receiving hate and abuse, they had also been sent photographs of deadly weapons and were sent a box containing a real deadly weapon to their training facility. The statement also reportedly said that KT Rolster believes this behavior falls under South Korean laws relating to insults and special intimidation. Look, esports is massive in Korea. Many of you watching this will know that. It's always been a bastion of skill and excellence, especially in League of Legends, and as such, their players are held to high standards that seem extremely foreign to esports fans from other countries. Of course, that is no excuse for the behavior we've talked about in this video, but it's at least a basic starting point for beginning to wrap your head around it. And it's not limited to esports either. In the K-pop world, there have been similar lawsuits filed against fans who harassed the stars. In 2019, K-pop star Sully was found dead in her apartment. Her death was ruled a suicide. A number of fans felt that critical comments online had affected her mental health. This prompted calls for the creation of a so-called Sully's Law, which would seek to combat anonymous cyberbullying by forcing people to use their real identities online. It's important to remember that online toxic cultures exist all over the world, but at least in the world of Korean esports and K-pop, this particular type of toxicity does seem to be on the rise. Will Faker's lawsuit stop him from being on the receiving end of it? We can hope, but who knows? South Korean laws do seem to empower victims to pursue this course of action more than other places in the world. But if anything, this is also about sending a message to the toxic fans who harass players like Faker. They're going to make the harassers' lives as difficult as possible and hope that others learn from their mistakes.